Hello. Um, I just made this video to actually talk about a book that I actually found quite interesting, even though I didn't really get into this type of stuff till last summer. It's actually a paranormal book. It's called 100 Places of Western New York. It's where I come from. It's a supernatural tour guide by Mason Winfield, and here's the book. Personally, I am a little mixed about paranormal ghost stuff because it's something, like, I was afraid of ghosts when I was younger, vampires and such. Now I'm like interested into this stuff. But it's a really neat book because I don't think many people around here know that a lot of these places, roads, inns, colleges, have spirits, and I just want to make this little video to actually talk about the book, and of course giving credit to Mason Winfield who wrote it and everyone who helped them with it. And I'm going to give a little excerpt about the book. I mean, it's really quite interesting, and I just think maybe, well, before I do start, I do know that there is controversy, debate about ghosts and such, so I say I do welcome comments, whether you believe in them, whether you don't. And it's alright if you guys want to argue, but if I see that it's getting out of hand in my opinion, I will either intervene or I'll just get rid of the comments altogether. It's really, I just want to express about this book and some interesting things that maybe people don't even know about. And I also welcome anyone from Western New York having seen this video and has like a story of their own or knows a little bit more about some of these. I would really love to hear them, so leave a comment, try to message me, you know. And you're also free to like and subscribe about it. So, I would just like to start off with the usual haunted mansions and stuff. I mean, it's like a basic in movies and books. I mean, most things haunted mansion would probably be the movie itself, Eddie Murphy. So, and I found interesting in one of these mansions, I'm sorry I don't have these marked because I knew if I had them marked I'd be going off to something else, is the Mildred M. Mahoney Dollhouse Gallery, and it's in Fort Erie. And what's interesting about it is that, well, of course it's haunted, but they have a dollhouse there. It's pink. It's a pink colonial 1924 dollhouse, and in its living room set of the dollhouse, it has a tiny Ouija board. And we all know, kind of, some people say it's a bad thing, you can contact spirits and such. And some actually narrow it down to this little Ouija board in the dollhouse, and I know it kind of sounds ridiculous because you have to fool around with the Ouija board first before something happens, and who knows, maybe some person did manage to use the tiny Ouija board, or the little people got to it, but I just thought that was interesting. And there's also a report of rapping sounds, electrical pranks, malfunctioning video cameras, and sweet lilac smells that usually are accompanied by a apparition of a woman. And then, along with the dollhouse, like every morning when they go in, they always find the dollhouse, or it's always found in a different place in the building. I mean, it's not in the same place overnight. It's obviously being moved in an empty building. So I found that quite interesting and a little bit creepy that even a toy this small, Ouija board, can probably stir up some activity. I mean, that's what some people are thinking. This is what they think. I guess there's also a house, again, it's called the Pink House. I mean, I kind of imagine it as the little pink doll house that I mentioned earlier. It's just a pink, Victorian house on the corner of West State Street and Brooklyn Avenue. And there's just ghosts were around it, apparent suicide. Some said a ghost had a kid to a death. There was a fountain there, and then like a little girl drowned in it while her handicapped grandfather watched, and it's just creepy stuff. I mean, maybe he couldn't do anything to save her, but it's just creepy things, and it's just, I mean, it's the usual you would expect. Noises, uh, apparitions, it's the usual, but, I'm trying not to make this as long as possible, but I'm just trying to point out what I think is interesting in this book, and I really encourage, if you're interested, maybe to go get this book, get other books, learn about your area. I think that would be good, because there are some things I didn't even not think would be around here that are around here. A perfect example would be in the haunted highways or roads. Like Interstate Route 90, which runs from Buffalo to like probably Albany. Interstate Route 90, haunted. It is said in the book that, especially near the Batavia exit of the book, there would be reports of vanishing hitchhikers. And apparently that drew a lot of interest, or like the police got a lot of calls about that in the 1970s, and it's just mind-boggling how such a traveled road is haunted. I mean, that's the interstate. A lot of people travel that, and probably a lot of people never knew that it's haunted. It also says in the book at one point, the road was supposed to run through some land that was probably considered sacred to the natives that lived there, Native Americans. So it said that they gathered all one night, telling those that are not participating in whatever they were doing to just stay indoors because the dead are going to walk. And apparently they kind of happened. Those that were constructing experienced all these things that just scared like the shit out of them. So another thing I want to mention is I am really interested in the Native American folklore of like the Sadaga, Algonquins, the groups around here, and I find it really interesting that they still keep to their dead, they watch their dead, and it's amazing how far they will go to keep it, to protect the land. It's amazing. I mean, if you want, you can just look into the folklore. The folklore is just another thing in itself. I mean, they believe in the little people, aka fairies, shapeshifters, the changelings. It's creative. I mean, they've been here longer than us, basically. That's another thing, but then we have Manitou Road, which is probably one of my personal favorites. Manitou Road in Parma, west of Rochester. Supposedly there's like a demon that haunts the road that will like scratch on the glass of cars and windows, and it will rush at observers that see it. So if you like see this thing, it will come right at you, but it will like disappear before it gets you, and that's just scary. You gotta have to admit, would you like something that's probably like maybe ugly or terrifying rushing you just because you saw it? It's crazy. Then we have such roads as there's one particular road that I can't seem to find. Well, I mean, I can't find it, so I can't really tell you about it, but there is the Sand Hill Road and the Tonawanda Reservation, which has reports of those changelings, basically shapeshifters, people like shamans or witches, they believe. They're people with animal characteristics and such. And I do realize I might be quoting stuff from him, but like I said, all the credit goes to him. So, it's just interesting. But you can see on these roads, I mean, you can see them at night, you can see them during the day, you can probably look at it, that it's gone, you question yourself, what was that? So yeah, the natives, the shape, the natives, so, it's interesting, I never knew that we had such, like, shapeshifters or changelings. I mean, I knew Rochester, I mean, I learned from this book that Rochester is, like, the birthplace of spiritualism. And then there's a whole section that covers like the spirit zones and the X places, you know, like the UFOs and like Bigfoot type creatures. I'm gonna get into some of those a little bit later. It's crazy. Now, there was also some horrific things that happened too, like on Ingles Holland Road. It says a train had just left the Ingles station, ended up like a fall went wrong. A couple cars went off. One was dingling over the bridge near Holland Road, and apparently there was like 2 heaters on either side, kind of, with 40 people in between. Everyone was basically burned or like melted to death. I would think those that were near the heaters would just burn beyond recognition. I think those more in the middle might have been just like melted. I mean, skin melting right off of your bones. I mean, it's scary because you never want that to happen. It's a horrible way to die, but it happened. And so apparently there's some haunts around that, and you just, I mean, like it says in here, most of people didn't know there was a train accident that happened there, and yet that could be a reason for all the hauntings and the pig man. And I mean, you really gotta think. I mean, everyday places you could probably go by or travel down roads or parks. I mean, Zor Valley, Letchworth, Mount Morris. Well, Mount Morris isn't a park, but they're haunted, and you don't exactly know that until you actually look into it, or you just come across it. And then you think, oh, I've been there, and maybe there was something that happened to you that maybe makes sense. But I wanted to get to another personal favorite, Devil's Hole, on the American side of Niagara Falls. And I just find it interesting because apparently after the British won the waterboats in the French Indian War for like the fur trade, hired Native Americans to be porters. Eventually they downsized them and they got mad, so they did like a wildcat strike on the British, like killing them. Some jumped off the edge to certain death into the water, the whirlpools. I mean, they're not really whirlpools, but you know. I mean, and then, unfortunately, it says that President McKinley toured the hole a few hours before his assassination at the expo in Buffalo. I want to say a trolley was like going by, and one of those cars derailed, sending 50 passengers to their death into the water, falling. And if I'm right, it seems like every year, at least one person dies either Devil's Hole or Zor Valley. I mean, and then, like I say, I know I keep repeating myself, but it's scary. I mean, my family, we actually walked through the Devil's Hole. I mean, there's a path that leads through it, like, and you can travel it. And I did that, and at that time I didn't know the Devil's Hole was haunted, but by the name I kind of thought it. And I had little instances, because I wasn't wearing the right shoes, I was wearing Birkenstocks. There were times that I misstepped, almost slipped. And, well, might as well could have joined them, but I may be over-exaggerating a bit. But then there's another story dealing with the natives, like, there's supposed to be a hole where a great, like, serpent-like monster lived. And I guess it was wreaking havoc, so like a group of them went in the hole. It was a few days they hadn't returned until like only like a couple or a few of them returned from the group. They were like petrified, they were scared out of their mind, and it was said that their black hair had turned completely white, probably because of seeing this beast, this monster, and whether it lives or not, it might be the one claiming lives there every year. So it's crazy. I mean, there's so many unknown things in our world, I mean, like the Bigfoot, I mean, you have to show an animal planet finding Bigfoot, and they're just, it's crazy with all this evidence. And then, I mean, could you really imagine, like, a snake big, like, I consider it like a basilisk, big serpent-like creature actually existing? That actually brings me to another story in the book. I'll show it again, just in case you didn't pay attention. This, goes into the axioms, I would believe, if I read it there. It is specifically called the Seneca Lake Guns. Of course, if we have the Seneca Lakes, it's apparently a loud, rare, and apparently natural curiosity for which there's still no confident theory. But it says that for a long time, residents there have claimed that there's been big unknown shapes that have been seen in their slim glacial lake. And at one point, passengers on a steamer noticed a big object. It was like 25 feet long, and it had a mouthful of wicked teeth. And apparently, the beast got caught, whatever it was, got caught in its paddle. The beast supposedly got killed. They tried hauling it, but its tail slipped through the noose, and then basically the carcass of the beast slid back 600 foot into 600 foot deep lake. So, and then it's crazy, even in a lake. I mean Nessie, it's probably meant to be a lake monster out there. I mean, you have Champ in Lake Champlain, and now you have this creature in the Seneca Lakes. It supposedly is dead now. But then say that a geologist come, and the geologist said it was most likely what they call a cladistis, an extinct type of water lizard. It's mind-boggling that we don't know how deep these lakes can be, that can still harbor life that we don't know. I mean, it's mind-boggling. I mean, you gotta tell by my face. It's just shocking, even when you read it over and over. And I know I can see the videos going on 18 minutes, but I feel like I just haven't explained enough. But I just don't want to, I mean, I'll give you some other interesting places if you just want to look up. I mean, there's Folklore Cemetery with their hellhounds. There's the Black Dog of Lake Erie, which could possibly be a hellhound. It's like a black cocker spaniel that comes out of the water, like matted fur and red eyes. It could basically be like another form of hellhound, basically. Usually, and it says it usually appears after there's been like a boat accident or an accident out in the lake. People will observe like some dog crawling out of the water, and like I said, matted fur, red eyes. I mean, so you have that. You have, I mean, the Grand Hotel, I forget what that hotel is, the one on Grand Island. Then you have Fort Niagara, of course. Then you got like spiritual places. You got, of course, you got Lilydale. You must have heard of Lilydale. And it's amazing. So I encourage you. So maybe if you're coming to Western New York, or if you live here and you want to learn more about tales around Western New York, then I suggest you probably get this book and many others. I mean, Ralph Wilson Stadium, home of the Buffalo Bills, that's haunted. It's built on Native American land. And I mean, I guess some can jokingly say that's why the Bills haven't won a Super Bowl, is because of like a curse or that. But apparently it was blessed, and the activity seems to have died down, so it seems everything's okay there. But you gotta expect, these places that are busy, that you would think wouldn't have no connection to the spiritual whatsoever, do. I mean, you gotta understand, this is West New York, this is Native American ground. You gotta expect a lot of Native American haunts, spirits, folklore creatures. So I'm gonna leave it off just there, and if you want me to do maybe individual videos on just like things from this book, or if you want to just like send me your own stories of what you experienced, and you don't have to be, I'm not looking for just stories from just here, I'm looking from like anywhere. I just want to hear your stories. So I'm gonna leave it as that, and I hope you enjoyed this, and that you will take a look. I mean, it's really, if you're interested in ghosts, if you believe in them, like I said, I welcome debate on like in the comments. Just don't get out of hand. Don't blatantly just like say straight out that everyone who believes in ghosts is like crazy. So I'm gonna leave this at. So I hope you enjoyed this, and you can like, you can comment, you can subscribe, even though I don't really have that many videos up yet. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm just gonna leave you with this quote by Stephen King. We are all mentally ill, so some are better at hiding it than others.